Welcome back to another episode of Franklin Stein's Garage. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different, but I figured I'd record it anyways and show you how I'm doing it. So this is my dad's truck. It's a pretty nice truck, other than the one section of the frame rail is pretty rusty. And rather than just giving up on this thing and throwing it away, it's too nice for that yet. We are going to fix it. And I've already started by removing the fuel tank, because it is on the fuel tank side. And I will show you exactly what's going on here. So, yeah, rust. Even the spring hanger, it's about rotted off. So we're gonna cut all this out, and rather than just find some random pieces of scrap metal to scab in there, we could do that. But again, this truck is, in my opinion, nice enough to go above and beyond. So we went ahead and ordered these from a company called Rust Busters, and these are exact form-fitting replacement pieces that cover the frame channel. Obviously cut out the bad section first and try to do as much rust proofing on the original frame before putting these on, but comes with a new spring hanger and all the holes that line up with the frame. It even gives you some holes there to, I don't know, probably use some self-tappers to hold it. Obviously not permanent, but to hold it while you're doing all your fabricating. So I think this is the way to go. My dad really likes this truck, and he was very disappointed when he realized the frame was pretty bad off on that side. The rest of it's fine, and so we're gonna fix it. I think the worst part about doing this whole thing is they didn't cut out for there's a body mount here, so we're gonna have to either grind it off of the frame and hold it out, put this up on and weld it to that, or find out exactly where it is here and cut it out to where this slides up into it. Haven't quite decided yet. We may just cut out the section entirely and get it up onto it and take some cardboard and cut out pieces to match up to that. I don't know yet, but that's about the only obstacle I have with this. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We got our new fuel tank straps right here ready to go back in. Like I said, the fuel tank's already removed. All right, well, first thing after the fuel tank that you should do, if you're welding, cutting, or anything, unhook your battery. You don't have to do this. The chances are very low that you're gonna cause a short, whether it is backfeeding the welder up through the frame or cutting a wire with a cut disc or anything, but it's really not worth it to chance it when you can just unhook the battery and de-energize the whole system. That way your harness is safe. So let's do that and let's get to work. All right, guys, we got the battery unhooked and went ahead, and since we don't have a lift or anything, a lot like probably most of you guys out doing it in your driveway, the struggle can get real. So I got it up on ramps, as you see, and I strapped the rims down to the ramps going forward. That way, when it got lifted up here, it didn't roll back, because the truck is in park, and once you take it out of take the weight off, this rear tire would want to roll back. So you got to think of what could happen and just everything to be safe. So I probably went a little above and beyond here, but again, you're trusting your life under here, so you want it to be safe. So, and I know that looks bad, but it's actually pretty solid there. It's just a rim and tire with the jack stand, because obviously jack stands don't work that well in gravel. And I got another floor jack there underneath the cross member, so it's just, if I gotta adjust something, I can, or if the fire department needs to be able to rescue me, they have an option there. So another floor jack is going to go underneath this axle, and the reason for that is we got to take the leaf spring loose because this hanger has got to go. And yeah, we got a jack stand back here, so all the weight is supported on this side. All right, we should be pretty safe. Got to get the floor jack under here. We're gonna squirt that down with some Croil and take that loose. And here I will give you an update on, I took a hammer and knocked some more of the flakes out, so you can see like just exactly why we're doing this and how bad it is. So underneath there, it's pretty bad, but it stops right here at this little pinhole here. That's as far as it goes. But if you look back here, obviously it's missing some there, and it's thin up in here. Okay, that's why we have the piece that has the new hanger and the piece that goes all the way up into here. Even though it is not bad up in here, it is here, and the piece needed, you had to buy this whole piece here in order to fix this little bit. So they didn't just sell a chunk here, a chunk here, a chunk there. It's this whole piece, that whole piece, or nothing. So had to buy that, and we'll probably cut it off somewhere in here because back here just simply isn't needed. This is very strong yet, we don't have to use it, but just beyond the bump stop, because we're gonna have to take this off and mount it on the new piece, which it comes with. So we'll have to take and cut this part of the channel out because the new piece already has the nut certs for these bolts to go up in and accept the bump stop again. So all right, let's get after it. All right guys, time to go in there and tie all the fuel lines and brake lines and wires out of the way. So got the inner fender removed, and it's flip-flop and floop-de-doing here, so we gotta zip tie this so your shirt don't get caught on that. This up here, one-handed zip tie. Oh, let me try that again. One-handed zip tie action. You can ratchet zip ties if you didn't know. Get them tighter. Okay, now that's secure-ish from getting caught on your shirt. All right, see you in there. All right guys, up under here with me, we got the wires tied up and tucked out of the way there, and the brake lines and fuel lines tied up out of the way. We unbolted them there from the frame because, as you can see right here, that's where the bump stop was. We're gonna cut this out, and that's where it's going to end there as far as the patching goes. But as you can see on the inside here, we got the beginning of it right in this section. There's the hanger, and as you know, on the other side it's much worse than this, so this is quite literally hanging on by a thread. So the patch will go to about here or so, and then obviously the new hanger, and it'll joint together with the other patch piece somewhere in this general area. But now this is down to what I would call the raw form, I guess, of to start knocking all the scale off of it and cutting out the pieces that we don't need or that are no good anymore, and start really grinding and polishing where the welds are going to take place. Because if you know anything about welding or patching or anything like that, the cleaner the surface you're welding to, the absolute better results you're going to get. And we want good results, because this is not for me, this is for my dad. So what was normally good enough for me is not good enough. I'm going to make it even better to where he never has to worry about it. So we are taking our time with this and doing it absolutely correctly. The truck, all in all, deserves it also, because this is the only bad spot in the entire frame. The rest of it's scaly, but definitely no holes in it, like right here. So, all right, let's take this bolt out and drop this leaf spring down, and we'll keep that jack under it, but we'll get this leaf spring down and out of the way and get this cut out and start doing some fitting to figure out where we got to grind for the welds. All right. All right, got the bolt out of the leaf spring there for that hanger, and now we're going to go ahead and cut that out, because that is the next step, and then we can start doing some fitting. So, all right, we'll get that done. All right, guys, same project, different day. So we've went ahead and cut out the old spring hanger. There it is right there, and I'll give you a close-up view of just how bad that was. Okay, so it had to go. I mean, yeah, we could have cut, you know, all this out and reused this mount and everything, but why would you do that when the new one comes with it? So now we got to figure out and mark where to cut so it fits in this body mount here and up against the frame down here, and the same thing on the other side. And we have these cross member gussets, I guess I'll call them. Okay, they come down and they will be into the top of that, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of trimming, and we may just trim the overall top of it on both sides, because it doesn't need to go all the way up to there, because this is still like really good solid metal. Yeah. All right, let's get some Sharpies and cardboard templates made. All right, guys, got our template here to go in and out of this body mount here and up against the other section of frame. Pay no attention to that hole there, as we are going to fix that along with this one, and then we're the only other ones that are outside of the patch that we have to fix. Not a big deal at all, but we'll take our template here that fits like that, and we will mark it out on the piece there. It was important to include the factory holes in the frame, because they match up with that patch piece. That way you can get this centered exactly where you want it, or damn close to it. Nothing that a little grinding can't take care of if not. But all right, now we need to add it to our piece there. And we're getting rained out. Just as I was about ready to mark that one piece and cut it to fit. I've been battling rain constantly on this project, so as soon as it lets up, we'll get it cut. It got louder. It got a lot louder.
Oh, no,
It got
embarrassing.
It got loud.
Definitely has picked up tremendously. We may be done for the night. Alright guys, new day. It's not raining anymore. Well, for now. We got her marked out. So I think that we're gonna fit just nicely if we cut in and out of here. This is where the one body mount is. Okay, and this is where it'll butt up to the original frame. I originally had it longer up in here, but there's really no need because this is all good metal and it'd be really hard to get a good bead all the way up in there because you can't really see it. So I lowered it down, and that'll be easier to line up these original holes in the frame for the factory ones. Don't need all this up in here. Besides, there's already, like, I'll call it a factory frame gusset that goes up in here, and I measured from this body hole, or not body hole, frame hole from the factory up to here and followed the curve on it. I'll show you what I mean. So right here is that factory gusset, like I said. If you measure up into here and follow it around there, then it should fit in there very nicely and leave a good area for a nice bead. We're gonna clean this up better, don't worry, especially after last night. Even already got some surface rust going down. So all right, well, first things first, let's get that cut out, see how well we did. And we're gonna have to cut on the inside also, because this factory gusset here goes over and down probably another 2.5 inches, and we just don't need that much metal overlap. It's very generous that the Rust Busters company gave you all that extra metal to work with, but it's definitely a cut to fit sort of deal, but that's better than having to add metal. So once we get that done, we'll start on this section here. Again, this is a little thin where the original bump stop mounts are, and this is thin right here. But that other piece we got will butt up against right here, and it'll match these factory frame holes. Also, when we cut this out, it'll give a exit for all these chips and flakes that are up in there. Someplace to go, we can get them out of there. Then we'll fix those holes down there and start chipping away at the whole frame and getting it ready for paint once we get everything all welded up. All right guys, got that cut out. Let's go see how it fits. Then we get a cut out for the other side. Alright guys, it appears that the other side is going to fit pretty nice. However, I can't fully understand how it's going to fit until I get this side cut, because as I mentioned many times before, it has that frame gusset on that side and it won't let me go past that without cutting it out. So this is what it looks like on the inside. So we got that marked out, and we don't need it to go all the way up into there. It'd be much easier to weld this if it's cut down to about there and get a more straight on weld. Yeah, and be able to see what I'm doing. So this hole is sort of irrelevant. There is one there, but it's oval shaped and it's all the metal's fine there. So I'm just gonna round this off and taper it back down to there. There is a pretty good size hole here in the frame, but then all of this is good metal on the inside to weld to. May have to go back and cut this back a little bit like the other side, but hopefully not. It's definitely not going to be done the first time. So, alright guys, got this side cut out, and you'll see I took the flat disc to it, and that is because these parts come with like an oil coating on them, and it's to protect them as far as getting surface rust during shipping and whatnot. However, it's not good to weld with it on there, so you got to get it off there. And I already took the flat disc to it, so now I'm just gonna take and spray some brake clean on there. You can see it coming right off. Okay, this will cause crappy welds if you don't do this. All right, we want good strong welds, especially on a frame. So, and then you're gonna want to let this evaporate for a long time before you begin welding, but there's more fitment to be done. And see that oil just come right off of there. Okay, I get the metal burrs off as best you can. I got a few in there that I just simply can't get. With that, I'll try and take some pliers and get them out of there. But the inside isn't critical as far as the oil goes. Matter of fact, probably best to leave some of the oil on the inside. So, alright, I think what I'm going to have to do is find another floor jack to push down on the spring to get this up in there, because it is getting in my way. The leaf spring I'm talking about. That will give me better access to get this in and out probably 3 or 4 times to do some more trimming. And then we're going to clean the frame up even more, because we want the cleanest surface possible when it comes to welding onto that frame. You'll thank yourself in the end. Otherwise it'll look like bubblegum and silver spray paint. Alright guys, sometimes you got to get pretty creative, and in this case that consists of an upside down highway roadside jack for an OBS Chevy truck. So got that shoved up against the one gas tank mount, and it fits over the leaf spring pretty good. And what that's done is push this down. Now, of course, if you're taking this all the way down to where you're getting the axle out of it, you don't have to worry about this, but we're trying to take apart as little as possible to get this done. Because once this piece is in there, we can go ahead and bolt the leaf spring back up even before it's fully welded. Matter of fact, it's probably encouraged to do that to verify that you do have it in the right location. So now we're gonna see if it fits. Alright guys, had to take a break and run to town and get gas for the generator. Went ahead and got some pizza too. You gotta take time to eat. So we're gonna do that. Enjoy a nice glass of Sprite on ice and get back to it. Alright guys, got a tack on each end here. You can see it's flush up against there. Not a bad fitment here. Got a little bit of a gap to fill there, but nothing bad. Got all the larger holes in the frame lined up. The only ones that don't quite line up are those 2 little ones there, but as you can see the larger one does. And we're up against the frame there. I think if you see like that step in the frame going on there, I think that's what's going on. That's just the thickness of that. Not a big deal. You can see our leaf spring is going to go back up into place. Keep in mind it's back a little bit since it's down, so we're going to go ahead and bolt this in while we have it just tacked, just to make sure. We're going to pull some measurements, be absolutely sure before we go ahead and 100% weld this in. Okay? So it's a lot easier to grind a tack than a full-on weld. And we'll take a C-clamp, and we'll, as we're welding, we'll hold the frame in on itself, because as you start welding, the heat will try and warp the metal, and you do not want that. We are not going to weld here because we're adding that other piece. Remember, we're not done. This is just step one. So we will weld that when the time comes. Maybe we'll cut it back a little bit so we can get a nice, you know, evenly deep penetrated weld in there to join the two together and adhere it to the original frame. But all in all, guys, I'm damn satisfied with this. This is going great. Again, these two holes are irrelevant. The larger ones are the ones you want to be concerned about. So, and I'd say we've done a pretty good job. So, I'm going to go ahead and bolt this together, get rid of this stupid thing. Then, get the clamps out. Alright. Alright, guys. We got the leaf spring bolted back up in there just loosely. Okay, and we did have to use a ratchet strap to get it back that way, but that is because it swings on that back shackle there. So use what's available to you to help you out. Ratchet straps are very handy, not just for tying down stuff you're trying to haul, but getting stuff to go back together. All right, added a few more tacks just because I didn't want this to rip off when I let loose of the ratchet strap there. We're going to pull measurements now just to verify that we are where we want to be and get to welding. So I think it's coming along pretty nicely. This is doing a lot better than what I thought I was gonna have to do. So all right guys, we got a clamp right there just to hold it together, sandwiched both sides. You can't forget about the inside because you're doing that also. So we did pull some measurements, and what I found out is if I hold on the threads, it's hard to do this with three hands that I don't have. Okay, I got 19 3/16, maybe a heavy 3/16, almost 19 1/4 from the threads to the, from those threads to the corner here. Okay, and went ahead and measured the other side the exact same way, and we got 19 1/4. So give or take a 1/16. We're not getting any better than that, guys. That's pretty good. I mean, you can get better than that, but I'm not going to. A 1/16 of an inch, we're good. Okay. So I think we're good to go. Another thing I will add, since we had the weight off of this, you know, when we had the leaf spring unbolted and everything, so that put like a twist in the frame, so you don't want that. So we kept the floor jack underneath of it, but we lifted it up a little bit more until that wheel was level again. That way it's not pulling it down this way and putting a twist in the frame, because however you weld it is how it's going to stay. So you don't want that at all. So you got to get this as level or back to normal as possible before you start welding on it, because that's, especially when you add heat and whatnot, that's where the memory in the frame is going to stay. So all right guys, I'm gonna throw a few beads on this just to where we can take all clamps off and let it be. Then we're gonna start cleaning up this part of the frame and marking out where to notch our other new piece. And once both pieces are 100% in place, then we're going to go ahead and 100% weld, and that will give us plenty of time to go back and check measurements, this and that, before it's 100%. All right guys, got that welded a little bit more than a tack anyhow. Please don't make fun of my welds. I wouldn't do that to you. They'll hold, I trust you, or trust me. They'll hold, trust me. All right, now we gotta start taking this all clean. And I believe we're going to stop right here, guys. And the reason for that, this is super solid. Yeah, like this is damn good frame right here. Okay, so the whole piece is not needed. But however, right here to here is thin. All right, so we're gonna cut out where those nutserts go for the bump stop. So the new ones on the new piece just slide right up in. Okay, and we're gonna cut this side here like this, not the frame, I'm talking about the patch piece. And then we'll leave just a little angle piece here, okay, to give it some flex rigidity. All right, the other side is already pre-cut. I'll show you that here in just a sec. It's like a cutout, like a knockout for the shock. That's another reason why we're not going the whole distance is, one, it's not needed, and two, that's a crap load more work for something that's not needed, okay? And believe it or not, guys, it is better to have not as much overlapping metal as possible. This is just like the best fix that we could come up with for this, all right? And this is gonna last, I mean, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, easily, okay? You got to keep in mind, we live in the Rust Belt, and this is a very common problem. So I'll show you here what I mean. So we'll pay no attention to this line here. Matter of fact, I can erase that thanks to the oil that's left behind. And we'll cut just an angle here. All right. So actually, I was pointing to this side of it. We're not going on this side of it. We're going on this side of it on the actual frame. Anyhow, because all this is solid on the other frame. So here's that knockout piece I was telling you about. I think maybe they had it to bend around that shock mount, but we're just going to leave well enough alone with that. Maybe we'll even cut this back at an angle here, you know, just to give that a weld here, kind of like that side. That way they're working against each other and not gonna crack where the weld is, because once you heat up metal, then you have more of a risk of it cracking beside the weld, not the weld itself. All right, so we're gonna do that. Cut out for those two to sit up in there. It's thin right in here anyways, okay? And then we're going to use this piece, this leftover piece here. We're going to use that to fix around that body mount that's got holes in it, okay, on both sides. So we're still using that piece, just in a different location, because this is a little holy right here. All right, but we can fix it. It's no big deal. We'll just have to take this body mount loose and take all the crappy metal out of there and make us a cardboard template to go over that and weld that in, and probably overlap onto this a little bit is what we'll do. Okay, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out, and I'm gonna cut the other piece, and we're gonna take and clean this up really good, just like we did this side, and I'll be back. All right, guys, we got the other piece fitted up in there. As you'll see, the punch outs for the frame aren't exact as factory, but that really doesn't matter in this piece because it has nothing to do with alignment of the rear end. The bump stop will go in right where it should, and it's going to sit flush up against the frame. Remember, the only bad spot really was just it was thin under in here, so that's why we're putting this piece in. We'll just go ahead and weld right there and around in there, and it'll be good as new. So that's going to look really nice once it's all welded in, and should give it many more years of life. So I wanted to leave a gap there so I could fill it in with weld and join the two pieces. Got the inside ground down to where we can weld now. So the only other thing is I'm going to throw a tack here, and then I'm going to put that jack, that scissor jack right here, and push up as hard as I can right here. That way it doesn't pop down here, but we get this as tight as possible right here before we weld it. Then I think we'll be in good shape. Alright. Alright guys, got that heavily tacked up in there. It's basically welded, but it's a heavy tack. I'm going to full weld this whole thing. Okay, so fits pretty good. Fits pretty good. Other than the factory stamp outs there, but again, that doesn't really matter. The only thing I don't really care for is I'm going to have to fill that in and grind it back, but big deal there. I suppose I could try to cut this corner out and hit those in with the hammer just to kind of taper it in. It's because of this big weld here that they use to make this piece. So I'd rather not gob that full weld. That's why I stopped there and there and try and cut that and just hammer it in, taper it in. So, but pretty uniform. Then we'll finish welding this piece in. Got to finish welding the inside. That's going to take a long time. Then we can start chipping away at other rust and paint for the gas tank and stuff to go back in. Oh yeah, we got to fix that piece yet too, but that shouldn't take too awful bad long. So big job, just time consuming. It's not super hard, but it's a fairly large job to do, especially in the driveway. We need a lift for sure. All right.
So Louie's been working on that white Colorado over there, and I was going to show you guys this is what I'm excited about. Hi ladies, we got ourselves chickens. Well, we got them a while ago. I'll give them Orchid's a little bit. This is Orchid. Yeah. These guys kind of hang out back over there. Don't get as many treats as the other ones. Toss them a couple. Ladies. Super excited. I love them. We've got Zelda. Princess Zelda. We've got Pumpkin. Orchid. Right there is Cream Puff. Lima's the other Rhode Island Red. That's Niner. And we've got, those ones are Olive Eggers. Oh, we've got Delta and Echo. They are our Black Australorps. And Indy. And Lima. Lima's right there's Lima. I love these crazy birds. I love them. But that's an endeavor. Louie's he was working on this. We're not done. We got to do nesting boxes. These girls are only, what are they now? About 8 weeks. 8 weeks, huh, ladies? And that's gonna be their dust bath. We still have, these were in the brooder. We currently have some more in the house in the brooder that are bannies. So that's what we've been excited about. We're not done in here, but they were getting way too big to be in the brooder in the house. So we got them outside here. They've been out for a while, about a week and a half, and they're doing really, really well. And we're super excited about it. They're very nice ladies. They're good girls. These ones were pullets. So we have straight run Bantams. I believe they're Old English. They didn't say, and yes, we got them at TSC, so don't judge. But this is our first time I've raised chickens from little chicks, and I love my girls. I love my hens. Good girls. But yeah, so we wanted to let you guys know that. Maybe we haven't been putting out as many videos as we want to, but we have not been idle. You know, we're working on our little homestead type thing here, if you want to call it that. But I'm excited about the chickens. This is, you know, I got Louie on board. He was a little bit, you know, kind of trepidatious about it, and then we got him, and now he loves them, and you know, this is gonna be really, really cool in here once it's done. We're gonna do their nesting boxes, and see, look at him.
The chickens.
He's got all these girls right here, but he loves Delta. She's one of our black Australorps, and I mean, they're just so cool. They're so much fun. It is. I love it. I didn't let him finish. Do you want to give him some?
No, go ahead.
Oh, look at it. See, look at, they're getting more bold, these ladies. Look, they're getting the sheen in their feathers, babe.
If you're wondering where the nesting boxes are, they're soon to come. They're nowhere near ready to lay eggs.
But the, yeah, that's what I was saying. And you're going to be working on, there's a water he had seen online that you make out of a bucket. And,
did you show him the ceiling and stuff?
What? We have hardware cloth over, well, like I said, we're not done with this, but we have hardware cloth.
Trying to weasel proof.
Yep, we have weasels. We have a possum that's been trying to get into their chicken feed. You know, we've got a little bit of a tussle between the sisters there, but yeah, it's so much fun. But like I said, we got the bannies in the house.
We're gonna make a roosting ladder for them also.
Yeah, that's supposed to go over here. Yep. This is kind of a learning process for us. Oh, easy ladies. But we're loving it. These are just some dried mealyworms. And it's like I said, we went to Tractor Supply because, I don't know. It's just what we did this time. And like I said, we've got the bannies and the brooder. We got 8 in there, but those are straight runs, so we don't know. See, this is what we do in the afternoon now.
Watch chickens.
He gets home from work, I get home from work, and we're just like, let's get a glass of soda and go chicken watch.
Work on shit and watch chickens.
Yep, so but we love these girls. We love them. They're good girls. So yeah, we've got all of Eggers, Rhode Island Reds, and the black Australorps. So we've got 9 here. And yeah, we love them. Anyway, stay tuned, guys. This is just one of the things that we do. But all right, see you later.
All right, guys, got it pretty well welded in on this side. Got a little bit more to do on this up in here. Kind of saving the best for last. We still got those patches to make. I went ahead and cut that corner off, like I said, and tucked it in nicer so it kind of blends in with the frame. All right, that way there's not just a giant gob of weld there. All in all, not too bad for a BuzzBox 110 flux core welder running off of a generator. Not too bad. If I had a gas feed welder, I could probably make them a little bit more pretty, but I mean, it's really hard to, guys, with this the metal on the frame is porous, so like no matter how hard you grind, and you don't want to grind too much, you're gonna have little craters in this frame that have impurities, and that's what creates spatter, unfortunately. But that is strong as hell, guys. That's a frame fix and a half as far as I'm concerned. Might even argue that it's stronger than factory, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's gonna last many years. So still got to do the inside, and then we'll start taking all the scale down and get it ready for paint. All right guys, it is many days later. I went ahead and knocked out all the rest of the welding. Okay, I just painted that with what white paint I had laying around to cover up my weld so it didn't flash rust. And now we're gonna paint it with the frame paint that we bought, the black frame paint. So got all this welded up into here, all these different areas, and under here got all that welded up to there, to the middle of the cross member. This piece here I added because it just kind of ties in all these little cutouts that had to be patched in. It wasn't necessary, but I just wanted something to go over top of all of the weld joints in there, in between the body mount especially, because that was kind of a tricky area to get. That's 2 plates of steel in there welded, so that's not going anywhere. We had a hole there and we had a hole there. Got the inside done as well, so all the welding is done. I'll show you that here in just a second. I'll crawl under there. Oh, this really sucks climbing in and out of here. So, let the camera get focus again. So if you'll remember, there was a hole about here and here, right where that cross weld is. So we took a piece and welded it up against where this piece from Rust Busters ended, and we cut this cross in here because there's a curve that goes to the cross member for the gas tank mount, and cutting that cross in there allowed me to hit that perfectly flush into that curve and weld it top and bottom, and we just welded the cross back up. Now we are going to paint the inside of this, because that's the first thing that needs painted, on account of we need to get the gas tank put back in this now. It is time to put the gas tank back in, but first we have to paint this inside because we don't want it rusting back up, guys. So we'll go ahead and do that, and it'll probably be another day that you'll see me back, but let's go ahead and get that painted. Alright guys, for our frame paint, we are just going to be using some oil-based gloss black paint, tractor paint. It's pretty durable stuff. So we're going to brush the inside of the frame where the gas tank is going to go, and that is solely because, 1, it's going to lay it on thick, and 2, the rest of the frame we're going to spray it with a paint gun. We're going to thin this out, and we're going to spray the whole frame with the paint gun and air compressor. Now we have this Folgers can because we're going to pour some of this into that Folgers can and take underneath the truck with us. And why we're doing that? Because every time you take this brush and touch it to the frame, you're going to get rust crumblies in there, and then you're going to go back in for more, and all those rust crumblies are going to go back in there. So we're intending on spraying this out of a gun, so rust crumblies mixed with our main paint source is not a good idea because it'll clog your gun. So don't touch it. Yeah, I know they make openers for this. Okay. Now we're going to take our screwdriver, make sure there's no debris on it. The screwdriver has stirred a lot of paint. We're going to stir it up because a lot of the stuff that makes paint be paint ends up on the bottom if it's on a shelf for too long. And you want it all blended together, otherwise the paint's not going to set up properly. I did go ahead and shake this around back and forth a bunch before stirring this, so you want to get it all mixed back together. All right, now that we got that ready, only spilled a little bit. So if you're like me, you got a side project going on at the same time you're doing your main project. Today's side project is repairing a Milwaukee battery. And this is like last chance, last hope repair for this thing. I really don't know if it's going to work. I was weighing that down with the hammer because oof. So all the holes for the screws to go in are stripped out and all the screws are gone. Like there's plastic pieces missing. This battery has come apart numerous times, so all I could think to do was first JB weld in the middle of it and sandwich it together, and then I ran a nice smooth run of JB weld all the way around the thing, so hopefully it hardens up and is a battery that can have some life to it for a little bit longer. Other than that, I guess I'm gonna have to get another battery. And definitely, if you do something like this, babysit it when you are charging it. Do not walk away from it, and don't store it in anything. Leave this one outside the pack. So, but it might work for a little bit. These batteries are like, I don't know, $100 a piece or something like that. I haven't looked at the prices on them in a while, so gotta try to get every little bit of life out of them as much as possible. Alright guys, back under here. It is a chore to crawl under here. So, hopefully this is the last time for a little bit. Alright, we're gonna take and I'm gonna paint all this, because I'm not gonna be able to get to it once the tank's in here. And it don't matter what kind of job you do as long as it's coated. And you lay it on thick. Alright. Hopefully this will last a long, long time. It's definitely way stronger than factory, I believe. Alright. Definitely get where the tank itself is going to sit, because moisture and debris form in between the tank and that will cause it to rot out. You just simply don't want that, because all the work you just did would be for nothing if it did. Alright, there's our Sprite bottle there, still blocking the fuel line from sparks hitting it. I think all the fuel's basically run out of it anyway, but you can never be too careful working around gasoline, guys, when you're welding and grinding. Another reason why the tank came out, not only was it in the way, but a hell of a lot of welding to be doing around a gas tank, so best just to get it out of the equation. So, alright, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out the rest of this painting here on the inside, and I'll update you when I'm almost done, and we'll go out there and maybe, if there's enough paint left over, we'll paint where that body mount goes so we can get that back up in there. We can paint that and then just send that back up in, because we won't need to be getting back at it anymore. Alright. Alright guys, we are completely painted in here. Now, once this sets up tomorrow, or tomorrow we can put the gas tank back in. My light's dying, so you really can't see it that well, but we are painted, ready for bungee cords to come off. and wires and zip ties to come down, and the tank's gonna go back in. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and paint up and in that body mount there. That way we can get that reinstalled. Again, doesn't matter how thick you put this stuff, because it's just going to be more protection against rust. Get that all up in there. All right. All right, guys. I ended up painting more than just the inside of the frame because I gave myself way too much paint. But that's all right. Still going to spray it with the gun because we can't get inside the holes. I want to spray into the frame. But I'm going to wrap up the video here, guys. If you've watched this point, I appreciate it very much. I really wanted to make this video so that my dad could see it also and have peace of mind of how things went together and how strong it has become. But I do appreciate the rest of you guys watching this video, and if you guys like to see videos like this, or if you want to see more videos like it, please let me know in the comments, and we will do our best to make that happen, because I plan on doing a lot more fabrication jobs like this. Maybe a lift is in the future, who knows. But gonna wrap it up here and paint the rest of the frame off camera. You guys know what painting frame is all about, so I'm not gonna film it. So all right, till next time, like, comment, subscribe. Franklin Stein's Garage.